If you don't like the 1997 version of Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella, don't talk to me. Hi, hello, I'm Kathy, and I love chatting about cinema and most especially costume design. So the other day, I was feeling nostalgic and rewatched Cinderella, the one starring Brandy, Paula Montalban, and Whitney Houston. And let me just say, this movie is iconic for so many reasons. We have a diverse cast, especially in major roles, beautifully crafted sets, and modernized performances of the classic Rodgers and Hammerstein songs. To this day, I still get choked up during the "Do I Love You Because You're Beautiful" number. Like literally tears in my eyes. During my watch, I ended up taking a bunch of notes about the costumes, and that was my sign that I should film this video. Before we jump in, let's introduce the costume designer, Ellen Mirojnick. You've seen her work in movies like Fatal Attraction, Showgirls, and The Greatest Showman. Later on, she would also reimagine the fairy tale a second time for the 2021 Camila Cabello version. Now, let's chat about the costumes. This family definitely isn't scared of color or patterns. They're true maximalists. Green is Calliope's signature color, while Minerva's is some variation of red/orange. The stepmother doesn't have a signature color, but she wears a combo of purple, fuchsia, pink, and green. You can see they love mixing patterns and pairing contrasting colors. I can liken their fashion sense to a male peacock with all its splendor and drama. In terms of silhouette, they each have their own distinct tastes. One of my favorite details is that Calliope has a fake butt. You can see the padding here to help achieve the silhouette. She wears things with close-fitting collars, tassels, and long sleeves. Minerva is often seen in puffy sleeves, bows, and full skirts. I feel like she would be obsessed with sulky dresses. The stepmother wears form-fitting outfits with oversized collars and V necklines, except for her ball outfit. The trio isn't allergic to accessories either. In every scene, they're wearing multiple pieces of jewelry or some sort of headwear, or both. More is more, I guess. Compared to everyone else, their wardrobe is unusual and even a little avant-garde, basically teetering on the edge of tacky and fashion-forward. Like, come on, look at this hat. Or how about the Chinese buttons on the stepmother's coat, or the Mandarin collar of Calliope's dress? You either love it or hate it. I remember jotting down that the stepmother and stepsister's outfits were very Featherington coded, especially when you notice the contrasting colors and over-the-top styling. Imagine my surprise when I find out that Mirojnick designed the costumes for season 1 of Bridgerton. You can definitely spot the similarities between the two works. And I know that these two moms would be best frenemies if they existed in the same universe. King Maximilian, Queen Constantina, and Lionel are consistently seen in sumptuous brocade fabrics in a range of jewel tones. Their outfits are a burst of texture and color. Think of a really fancy curtain with all the trimmings. The Queen's gowns were apparently created from vintage Indian saris according to an ET featurette, which might explain the draping style for her ball gown. If you look closely, you can spot gold details like the crown pin on both the king and Lionel's neckties. Lionel's outfits are in a similar color story as the king and queen's because he's their servant, which further adds to the consistency of their elaborate court fashion. In an Entertainment Weekly interview, Whoopi Goldberg shares a story about how she convinced Harry Winston to lend them real jewelry for her to wear with her queenly outfits. The company agreed and sent armed guards to deliver $200 million worth of jewelry for them to choose from, including necklaces, rings, and bracelets. Now, let's move on to our prince. When Prince Christopher and Cinderella meet in the village for the first time, they're wearing reddish tops, linking them together before they even realize it. It can be argued that red represents his true self, because when he's in the castle, his outfits are consistent with his parents' elaborate garments. He only wears that color once, because otherwise he's usually seen in blue, purple, or white. This is what any fairy godmother dress ought to be: gold, glittering, and gorgeous. According to the Walt Disney Archives, Mirojnick took inspiration from Gustav Klimt's painting, The Woman in Gold. You can see the influence here, especially in the embellishments at the bottom. Then we have this majestic collar and bejeweled details near the throat, kind of like a built-in necklace. She also has this cape that's attached to loops on her fingers, so it flows behind her when she glides across the floor with her arms out. They're very wing-like, if I do say so myself. The ball gets its own category because it's such a vital scene. All of the men are wearing blue suits, while the women are wearing dresses made of purple, blue, or pink chiffon/satin fabric. The background actors pretty much have the same silhouette, which kind of adds to the dream ballet vibes of the whole scene. Uniformity helps our main characters stand out and likely helps keep costuming costs low, especially since they were working with a tight budget. The king and queen follow the purple, blue, and pink color scheme. They love their jewel tones with gold accents. Lionel is wearing blue pants but matches the prince with his ivory white jacket. The stepmother has on this exquisite purple gown with a bejeweled bodice and tops it off with a bold statement necklace for good measure. She follows the dress code colors that everyone else has adhered to, but she still stands out in her own way because that's just who she is. Of course, her motive is to make sure her daughters are noticed by the prince, so they are not wearing the blue or purple. The stepsisters are basically wearing amped up versions of their signature colors and motifs. Calliope is wearing a green striped dress with an interesting structured overskirt. It's so weird, but I could see something like this on the couture runway. And I immediately think of this green outfit from the Lizzie McGuire movie. Minerva is not in red this time, probably because a bright red would clash too much in this sea of purplish blue. Her gown is an iridescent pink/light purple with puffy sleeves, of course. All three of them have feathers in their hair, which is giving off horse plume vibes. The only royal who's not following the dress code is the prince. I mean, of course, it's his ball. This is his time to shine in his white and gold suit. Plus, his colors pairs so well with Cinderella's. It's finally time to talk about our main girl, Cinderella. Her working clothes are in hues of beige, burnt red, pink, soft colors for our fairy tale heroine. The reality was less modest. Brandy revealed that one of her peasant dresses was made of raw silk. Like I mentioned earlier, she wears a red shrug when she first meets Prince Christopher. During the final slipper scene, it makes another appearance, signaling their love story coming full circle. Many Disney movies based on fairy tales have what I call the wow dress. It's a dress that marks a crucial moment in the story, but it should also leave the audience breathless. This is what Cinderella's ball gown does perfectly. Her blue dress is an off-the-shoulder beauty with rhinestones and delicate beading. A necklace, gloves, and tiara are final touches that add a touch of elegance. We also can't forget the magic slippers, which weren't made of glass, but acrylic, which is more durable. Some Disney fans might be shaking their head at the color choice because the blue versus silver color is a hotly debated topic. Mirajnik says she knew it had to be a blue dress, according to the Art of Disney costuming book. In spite of the other guests in blue, our costume designer is confident enough to also dress Cinderella in blue. The lighter color and sparkle makes her stand out regardless. You cannot take your eyes off her. Going in, the costume designer said she planned to have the peplum, shoulder bodice shape, and the big skirt. That off-the-shoulder sleeve detailing is one of my favorite parts of this dress. It's the epitome of princessy vibes to 8-year-old me. Another advantage of having a blue gown is that you can differentiate it from her wedding gown at the end of the movie. This one has a similar silhouette to her blue dress. Her off-the-shoulder sleeves are a light chiffon-like fabric this time. Her accessories are practically identical to her ball attire: gloves, necklace, tiara. The only difference is the long veil. The prince's suit is white and ivory. Actually, everyone wears white and ivory, including the king and queen and Lionel. Even the fairy godmother sports a white version of her gold dress. This color homogeny adds to the theatrical feeling of the final scene. The lighter colors could symbolize elegance and new beginnings, cut to the stark contrast of the stepmother and stepsisters banging on the gate in their vividly colored frocks. If you remembered earlier, I mentioned that they were dealing with a limited costuming budget. Mirajnik refers to this movie as an economical production. Nothing could be wasted, which explains the similar colors for the ball and wedding scenes. Luckily for her, reusing the same fabric keeps things consistent easily. Even with their limited funds, Mirajnik focused on the outfits that matter, including Cinderella's blue gown and the fairy godmother's gold dress. According to Jason Alexander in an Entertainment Weekly panel interview, Ellen was so dedicated to the production. He went in for an early fitting and saw her hand-painting details on sleeves because she didn't have enough crew to help. It's just a testament to how much she loved the project because the audiences and camera won't even notice the tiny hand-painted details. Another thing I appreciate is the villager attire in the beginning dance scene. They're just so colorful and fun. You can see girls in flower crowns alongside exaggerated workwear. We have a variety of patterns and hues, not just a dull peasant brown. Historical accuracy is not the goal here. Creating fantasy and whimsy is the main priority. Another example is the slipper try-on sequence. The villagers are wearing an assortment of patterned tights and socks. The variety helps convey the number of girls who are trying on the slipper, but it's also just a nice costume detail that's visually pleasing to look at. I struggle to use other words to describe the costume design here, but I keep coming back to the word fun. Ellen Mirojnick's designs are dreamy, sparkly, and overflowing with whimsy. It's basically the opposite of what I feel when I watch a live-action Disney movie nowadays. The modern movies don't have that wow dress. They don't have the je ne sais quoi. They don't have that special, just like fun aspect. But thankfully, this version is not lacking in that special sauce. Cinderella was a perfect storm of a movie. If you want to learn more about the making of it, I suggest watching this tribute video for a history lesson. Plus, as always, I've linked to all my sources down below. The cast is stellar, and similar to the fun costumes, it just looks like everyone is having a blast while playing these characters. Thank you to everyone who made this possible: Whitney Houston, Deborah Martin Chase, Craig Zadan, and Neil Marin, and also the countless backstage crew and artisans and just everyone working on this movie. As a young Asian girl striving for representation back in the 90s, this movie meant so much to me, and I know it helped and touched so many other young kids. If you haven't watched Cinderella in a while or ever, save this movie for a day when you need a warm hug, because that's what this movie feels like. Subscribe if you want, but only if you want.